Hello, welcome back. We're on day 3 at Beaver Creek and I'm with John Skeet, the CEO of Mithril Resources. Mithril Resources is the only ASX stock in Mexico, but not for too long. They might actually also be on the TSXV. So, John, good to be with you.
Good to be with you again, Peter.
When I say you're going to be on the TSXV, that's a dual listing.
That's right.
I think we might have actually touched on this when we last spoke at PDAC.
That's right, yeah.
Why don't we, before we actually go into that and some of the other work that you're doing at the moment, why don't we just remind people who Mithril are and then we'll dive in.
Okay, so Mithril is ASX listed, acquired the Copperkin property in Mexico in 2020 and started a maiden JORC program, and within 15 months published a maiden JORC resource at the end of 2021, and that was over 500,000 ounces gold equivalent at almost 7 grams per tonne gold equivalent. So a good high grade resource. Nice. And we continue drilling. We've done another 50% more drilling on that in that resource area since that. So we've started drilling again in June this year, and we'll keep drilling to the end of the year, and we're looking to do an update on the resource first quarter next year and getting that circa 1 million ounces sort of size in that first target area. And that's one of several target areas we've got across the whole district.
All right, so pretty good start.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, nice. Look, I'd imagine just anecdotally as well, just to begin with, I bet you're probably quite glad that you're going to be an underground mine as well, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. As glad as you can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's being in such a high grade mine, we've got a lot of options there with how that would eventually be exploited. But yeah, there's been a bit of negative sentiment around the Mexico mining industry, mainly because there was talk of open pit banning, but it's not much different to any other jurisdiction in the world. You know, there's places in Australia where you can't have an open pit,
yeah.
And it's just a matter of going through the environmental process to do that. And I think that's what will end up just being the case with Mexico. They'll just keep developing their environmental processing legislation, which is a very good process. I've been through it a few times already before successfully, and you know, and every project should just be rated on its merits, depending where it is and the impact it's going to have on communities and on environments. There's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's where Mexico is heading anyway. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's not dwell too much on what AMLO and Claudio are up to. I think we've spoken about that on the show quite a few times, so I'm sure people are pretty familiar with it. But so okay, you released the half million ounces at 7 grams per tonne.
Yeah.
You've done 50% extra drilling, like you were just saying. What's the current activity on the ground at the moment? Because you're drilling still right now, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And you've just brought in a new institution who's also backing you. So maybe we can just talk a little bit about where the company stands at the moment.
Okay. So we did. We were suspended for a little while. We did a voluntary suspension in late last year after we attempted to do a scheme of arrangement merging with a TSXV listed company, and it just took a bit too long, and the markets weren't favourable towards the end of the year, so we abandoned that, and then we suspended, and then we restructured the company, refinanced, and came back to trade again middle of May this year, and you know, came on the boards with a flurry, had a very good increase in the share price, and then we did a placement. We built it around Jupiter Gold Silver Fund out of London, who took 9.9% of the company. Very happy to have on the register, and we're well funded now to keep drilling throughout the rest of the year. So that was very important for us to do that.
Okay, what I really like about this story is it's not just, you know, we've got one deposit and we're growing from 500,000 to 1 million, which I'm sure you're on the pathway to doing, but there's a bit more of a regional scale to this, right?
That's right.
And I wouldn't mind just getting my head around that, and maybe we can go into that a bit more.
Sure. Well, look, we always knew it was a district scale property. You know, similar to other properties that I've been involved with in the Sierra Madre trend. Most notably was Palmarejo. Palmarejo has grown from no drilling in 2004 to being a 4 million ounce gold to 40 million ounce silver district. And you know, this is just another such type district that's in that region of Mexico. And this has, you know, we always thought it had at least, you know, 60, 70 historic mines and workings across the district. We just completed a LiDAR survey, very high accuracy, high detailed survey that effectively sees through the vegetation. And we've actually got 300 historic mines and workings all over the district. So a lot more in areas where we did know there was some activity, but in some areas to the north in particular, there's a lot of areas up there that have had some, you know, considerable historic activity. So that's really helped support our geologic basis or model there, that there's a much bigger system underlying that's created all this noise near the surface, which is all this historic mines and workings, and what, you know, these nearer surface resources will be part of in building this up. But the big prize there is the reason why all that's there. and some deeper system there that we need to drill down into and develop that geologic model to show the true upside in this district.
And when are you anticipating that you'll actually go and test this theory and go a bit deeper?
We may do some drilling between now and the end of the year that tests that. We've remodeled all the drilling and all the geology we've got there. We've done that all in a new software package that we've got, and that's really helping us to target where we're going to be doing our drilling. We've already done a bit of drilling down in the valley at the historic Copperkin mine, and we published those results recently, and we hit the type of vein material we want to see in that granodiorite intrusive that comes down in that lower part of the system there. So very happy to see those, and some good grades, a few grams gold and over 500 grams per tonne silver, the sort of things we want to see there. So we'll design some more holes in that area, drill those down at the lower elevation, and start to try and build up this geologic model.
Okay, okay, good. So what, I guess moving away from the project to an extent, what's the rationale behind the TSX listing or TSXV listing? Obviously, you're already on the ASX.
That's right. Yeah.
ASX, in my opinion, is probably one of, if not the best exchange to be on.
Yeah.
What does the TSXV do for the company?
Well, 20% of our shareholders now are Canadian shareholders,
okay.
And when we were financing at the start of the year, restructuring the company, we did give an undertaking that we would get this into a North American exchange. So, having already gone through quite a bit of the process with TSXV last year. We'd already done our technical report, the 43101, and so we'd already done that, and so we updated that and have submitted that to exchange. So we're already well along on the way to having everything done and being in compliance. The only thing we had to wait for was our June 30 audit, which we did, and that was the last piece we had to do to get our Canadian listing through the process.
Good.
So,
all right. So when can Canadians be expecting to see a ticker up and running?
Hopefully end of this month, maybe early next month. Just
Okay.
depends on how quickly we can get through this last part of the process. Yeah.
Okay.
So so and I think that'll be important because there's, understandably, Mexico is far better understood in the Canadian market than it is in Australia. I mean, Australians will look at Mithril and Mexico focus. What other companies there? There's no other companies in Mexico.
Yeah.
So other than the companies I worked for in the past, which were taken over by North American companies.
Yeah, okay. Well, why don't we go a bit into that? Let's go into your experience in Mexico and some of the success that you've had, because obviously it sounds like you've done this not just once, quite a few times.
Yeah. Well, look, I first went there in 2002 with Bolnisi Gold, and we were running into a property called a Campo there. We did a bankable feasibility study on that. We sold it back to our joint venture partner there, and then started work on Palmarejo, which is one of a dozen or so properties there. Started drilling that. They'd made no previous drilling. No one sort of expected it to be, anything sort of massive. A few companies had passed it over, and then luckily it ended up being a very big deposit and rapidly grew. And a great geological team that advanced that and got that to the 3 million ounces. Found 2 other deposits there, and then we had several majors wanting to acquire it. And we got that to construction stage. We were halfway through construction when they realised that we were serious about putting it into production ourselves, and then closed the deal with Core, and that was over $1 billion takeover. It was a very rapid and impressive success story there. So I learned a lot from that, going through the whole process and about the importance of getting your property noticed in the North American market, because that's what really drove that along.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's a pretty good story so far, isn't it? I mean, you've got a management team that have done this in Mexico before and sold companies for billions in the past. You've got a super high grade, it's mainly gold dominant, isn't it?
Yeah, most of the value's in the gold, but as the price ratio sort of gets back to historic sort of levels, and when the value that's in the silver is going to approach 50%, so there's a considerable silver component to this. It is a silver district.
Yep.
It's predominantly silver, and that's the difference with this to Palmarejo is the gold grades relative to the silver are probably about double. So everywhere we go, we're always surprised and pleasantly surprised to see very high gold values in a lot of these old workings and in the drilling we've been doing.
Okay. So just talk us through what the next stages are. You're doing this drilling at the moment. When can we expect an updated mineral resource estimate? How far are you stepping out from the existing resource? Because obviously it sounds like you said there's 300 workings of mines in the area, right?
That's right.
I mean, you're spoilt for choice by the sounds of it.
Yes, we have to focus our our attention. The other problem we got is we don't want to miss out on something. We don't want to go focusing on one area and then think, oh, we should have gone up and looked at this one. You know, so what we're doing, we've got a good geologic team now, and we're spreading out a bit. We're looking at everything. Colin Jones, our technical advisor, has been great mentoring our geologists and coming up with a geologic model that we have there that we're testing and developing, improving as we're making incremental steps on that. And we can see there are other upwelling zones in the district that will contribute to these nearer surface sort of top 300 meters sort of type resources. But the important thing is this deeper underlying system there that's created all this gold and silver mineralization all through the district. So definitely a big district, well endowed. All the indications are there. Good location. You know, we're not far from the major highway. We've got power near us, grid power, and we're just upgrading a municipal road going into the property. We'll upgrade that. That's about a $300,000 job. It'll take us about 4 months to do it. And that'll enable us to really expand the exploration in the district, bringing in machines, another drill, and we can really sort of kick it off next year.
Nice. Say, for example, we're sitting here this time next year. What do you want to be able to tell me that you've achieved?
Well, we've proven up that geologic model, that there is something considerable there that's underlying this. At least another 2 sort of target areas, like we have with Target 1, with that 1 million ounces there, and have shown that there's 1 million ounces there. And we'll keep doing the sort of study work that we've already done some metallurgy that shows it's amenable to conventional processing, the same as what we did at Palmarejo, and then and also that it's mineable as well. So that's those key things. We'll keep developing those, keep de-risking it, demonstrating there are no red flags to this development of this property, and we've got a lot of interest.
Good. Just on that, actually, any indication in terms of metallurgy? Obviously, I don't think you've done the met test work yet. But
we have done some.
Oh, you have
testing,
done?
yes.
Oh, so please tell me more.
Yeah. So when I did that first resource with AMC Consulting, we took representative material, core material that was already crushed and used for the assaying. We did a suite of test work just using the same test work or flow sheet regime that we developed for Palmarejo. We got 91% of the silver, 96% of the gold recovery, just with conventional flotation, cyanidation. Did a mining study as well with AMC, conceptual mining study that just showed that it was amenable to conventional underground mining techniques. Okay. And so it's we're on the way to having all the right attributes.
So a bit of de-risking already actually done, really.
Yes, exactly.
And just remind me, market cap at the moment?
Circa 12 mil Aussie.
Okay,
so small micro
cap. There's a long way up.
Yes, yeah. So like part of the reason, and we can see with our Canadian peers, similar sized companies with Latin American or Mexican focus, similar sized resources, we've got a bit of catch up there, 4 or 5 times different valuation for the similar types of deposits, and not as many pluses as what we've got. So we've got a lot of marketing to do. We're getting this in front of a lot of people. That's why I'm here at Beaver Creek. I've had a lot of meetings here, and people also asking. They've come to see me and said, "I've been told to talk to you."
Good.
And, so that's been very helpful. So we just got to keep doing the work and getting this known in the North American market.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you're going to get there. John, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Pleasure.